Hello everybody, I am Matt, and in case you guys have not noticed yet, the Dice Check podcast has officially taken over Chapter Tactics on the Frontline Gaming Network. So this is going to be the last podcast that's going to be going up onto this channel. Hobby Talk is still going to be here. We are just revamping it to make it a little bit better, but the Dice Check podcast that you guys have been listening to will now be transferred over to the Frontline Gaming Network. So that's going to be very exciting. That's why this episode is called Chapter Tactics episode number 205. We are taking over the mantle that Pablo set with the Chapter Tactics podcast, and hopefully we don't burn it into the ground. So this will be the last episode that's going to go up on the Dice Check channel. If you want to still follow this podcast, go ahead and head on over to the Frontline Gaming YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Team Zero Comp. If you guys head on over to there or click on the link in the description, you guys can still listen to us inside of your ear holes. They'll be taking care of all the podcasting stuff, so it's going to be way better than what we can provide for you guys because I know literally nothing about podcasting. And additionally, if you want to still check out this podcast live, you can still do so at twitch.tv/dicecheck. We stream it every single Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you want to go ahead and listen to us live, we have a pre-show and a post-show where we talk to chat. And then we also kind of use you guys as a way to kind of build up how we're going to do the podcast for that day. So go ahead and head on over there. And yeah, that's it. Let's get on with the rest of the video. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 205 of Chapter Tactics. Now, you guys might notice that it is a new voice speaking into your ear holes, and that is because I am now your host for Chapter Tactics, Magikarp Usefly, also known as Matt, and with me today are the regular co-hosts for this show. Now, we have the very, very handsome, eyeglass-wearing, beautiful John P.
Oh, dude, I was wondering who it was. You're throwing out every adjective that we both share. But, hello, it's me, John P. Hi.
And with him today, joining us onto this podcast as well, is Demeki. Not as beautiful, though.
Hello.
I'm just kidding. He's just as beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. I don't know why I'm saying thank you. I feel so nervous because, like, this is like... Chapter Tactics, I've been listening to it since when we first started getting into 40K and stuff. And so now being a part of it or reigning the helms of it, I feel so nervous.
Yeah, I feel you. We've been past the torch.
Yeah.
Will we burn the city down or will we light the actual flame? Let's see.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You must protect this city. Oh, God.
So yeah, welcome to Chapter Tactics, where we go over strategies and tactics for all phases of the game for both new and veteran players alike. That's what this podcast is about. Boom, nailed it. There we go. Got it.
Boom goes dynamite.
In this episode, we are talking about learning how to lose. Now, this is a very, very important aspect when it comes to 40K. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and sometimes you can make your losses into wins by just changing your mindset, learning how to lose properly, because when you lose properly, then you just kind of advance yourself as a player. It's okay to lose is what I'm trying to say. You know?
Of course.
Yeah. I wrote down a little snippet here. Are you guys ready to close your eyes while I talk into your ears?
Yeah, give us the ASMR.
Yeah, you guys ready for some of this 40K ASMR brought to you by Chapter Tactics? Here we go. So, you're trying your hardest. You've built list after list after list, and no matter what you do, you just flat out lose every game, and it's making you upset. You can't say, GG, go next, and you're feeling like you're in an endless spiral of loss after loss. So how are some ways to help you cope with the fact that you keep losing, and how can you change your mindset to be okay with the constant losses? Boom.
Boom.
I just remembered the last 4 games I played. They were all losses.
Are you on a losing streak right
I'm
now?
on a hot losing streak right now.
Ooh. I know that Demeki was on a pretty big losing streak, and now he has grown from his cocoon and has flourished into a beautiful 40K player, getting in a lot of really good wins with some good reps. So, he's going to help us learn how to take those losses on the chin. And then John P's going to tell us how he takes losses on the chin as well.
On the other side.
Yeah. Just joining into it.
We totally planned this. Demeki's on the win streak, I'm on the losing streak.
Yeah.
Specifically for this episode.
Yes.
We set it up. We set it up for this episode. So everything is scripted. It's all scripted.
Yes.
So before we go into that, we do have some news in the 40K universe, or in the Warhammer universe. Demeki, you want to spit some news to us?
Yeah, I got a couple of things going on. So this weekend is the Sisters Codex release, along with some sister models and whatnot. Also, Lord Feltius and his filthy cohort are up for pre-sale, and they'll be released this Saturday. They were around during 8th, but now they're like online only. Before you could buy them in a GW store. So I guess they just turned them into online order only. Lord Feltius is nothing special. He doesn't have his own rules. He's just another Lord of Contagion. So just like a reskin of Lord of Contagion.
Okay, that's cool.
And then he comes with 3 Blight Lord Terminators called the Filthy Cohort. So
Are you going to get them?
or the Tainted Cohort. I already have them. I got them in 8th. So
Mr. Cool Guy here.
some cool things that did get announced on Warhammer Community's webpage was that Gaunt's Ghosts, they're getting some models and they're getting some rules.
Yeah.
Those are pretty cool.
Try again, brag.
Yeah, Trigon Brag is pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. It's
Ricky was telling us about it, and
Yeah.
I was just like, maybe I need to read this book about these dudes because like
It's just a strength 7 gun that it hits at least once every single time, guaranteed.
Yeah, he hits on 5s and he keeps shooting until he hits.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Over and over again.
it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny to see the lore done well in the game.
in the actual game.
Yeah. So I don't know when that's exactly going to go out for pre-order, along with some new Cadian stuff. There was a couple of GTs on the 5th. There was Armed Forces Day that had about 34 players. We saw Drukhari win, of course.
Of course.
Drukhari in first. We had Chaos Space Marines and Demons in second. Dark
spicy.
Angels in third. And Death Guard in fourth. What do you know? 3 of my armies. Then we had another GT with 62 players called Bug Eater GT. First, guess who?
Drukhari?
Yes.
Oh.
Second, guess who?
Drukhari.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Third, guess who?
Don't do this to me. Space Marines.
Don't
No.
make me say it again.
Death Guard.
No.
Drukhari.
No.
Admech.
Yes.
Oh,
Admech
Okay.
Sisters.
Oh.
I had a little voice
So a
crack
little
there. I'm
soup.
sorry.
Soup.
A little
Okay.
soup. A little
Little
soup.
soupy action.
And then fourth, guess who?
Drukhari?
Yes. but Soup Drukhari with, I believe this is a craft world, Ashuryani? Ashuryani?
Yeah.
yeah.
So pretty interesting. I mean, at least it was a soup.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, like that. It's not saying that like. Obviously, Drukhari does need to get toned down. I think that we can all agree on that.
I think this
But, like,
is, I don't know if this happened before FAQ, because a lot of FAQs came out.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they were using the current FAQ or the new FAQ rules, or if this was like the rules pre-FAQ.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, because they did get a decent tone down. I think it was decent enough. Drazar got points increase, a couple of other points
I
increases.
think Raiders went up in points a little
Yeah,
bit.
Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders went up
Yeah.
in points.
They
Drazar went
FAQ'd
up in points.
Yeah, they FAQ'd the succubus thing where
Yeah.
she could just keep fighting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they FAQ'd Dark Technomancers to where you can't use an auto hit weapon. So
Yeah. Okay.
So-
Yeah. So they got toned down a bit.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's good. I mean, still for I'm not trying to like bark down at people that play Drukhari, because I know there's people that love Drukhari,
Yeah.
and they're and like Drukhari is one of those factions where you're just like a lover of Drukhari. Like if you play Drukhari, you absolutely love Drukhari and you love like their play style and stuff. So it does feel bad that there are people out there that play Drukhari and now, they get toned down a bit and now people are like, yeah, screw all you Drukhari players. You all suck. eat my feet, like, you know, like just
It's like all the people who hate Eldar and Tal. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, there was that one point that they were pretty dominant. And
Yeah. So
they got beat up.
yeah, you know, so you know, if you're going up against a Drukhari player, don't just automatically think that they're just, you know, a bad person. Just think that, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. You know, maybe they love playing Drukhari. Now, if they show up with Drukhari with unpainted models and it's just a GT, it's just a replicate of a GT army list and it's just like battle ready, then maybe you can say something. But like, you know, just you know, just keep it. Just calm down, people.
Yeah, and you saw them playing like Tau like in 8th edition.
Yeah. I think that John P has a pretty cool fact that he wants to share with the class.
Yeah. So y'all, fellas, girl fellas, what's the who cares?
Dudes and dudettes.
Yeah, dudes and
dudettes.
Yeah, there
Dudes
you
and dudettes. Hello. Did you know that the first attempt at creating a Space Wolves successor chapter horribly failed? This is the story of the Wolf Brothers. Very, very unique name, right? Space Wolves successor chapter, the Wolf Brothers. But yes, so the Wolf Brothers were intended to be as numerous as their genetic forebears, the Space Wolves, and just as powerful. They were given their own homeworld. Similar to Fenris, it was half ice, half fire. They were given half of the Space Wolves fleets, all the troops, all the priests, all the wolf lords, etc. They were to be the first of many of the Space Wolf successors. A whole line of descendant Fenrisian chapters called the Sons of Russ. That was the vision of the Space Wolves, to be powerful enough to encircle the Eye of Terror completely, to prevent the traitors from daring to ever leave it again. But something went terribly wrong, and the Wolf Brothers were disbanded. They were disbanded for the same reason that there could be no further successors to the Space Wolves, the existence of the wolf within. The genetic code of the Space Wolves Astartes, known as the Canis Helix, was far too dangerous to be copied. The heritage that made the Space Wolves powerful also made their genomes unstable and prone to rapid mutation. The Wolf Brothers fell quickly into the state of the beasts, manifesting in large numbers of wolfen and other more terrible abominations within their ranks. Shortly after the creation, the chapter was disbanded by the Ordo Astartes, and its stores of gene seeds were destroyed, and its surviving Battle Brothers were given two options: to either die in battle or to be shamefully executed.
That's like a lose-lose.
Yeah, that's rough,
that's
dude.
rough.
Yeah, I would take glorious
Hey,
battle.
rough.
Yeah, rough.
Rough.
So yeah, that's essentially why there aren't any successful Space Wolf successors nowadays in like canon lore.
Because they all died.
Because the original one died, and then they destroyed the gene seed splice from Lehman Russ,
okay.
and like no one knows where Lehman Russ is nowadays.
So they can't. Yeah,
So they can't extract the gene seed from
He's
him.
looking for Magnus to break that man's back again. That's what he's
Yeah,
doing.
probably.
Jeez, man, the life of a space wolf is
Yeah.
rough. Like you have to live on this planet, and then like you die.
Yeah, and then you die. Yeah, that's life. That's my life too.
It's everyone's life. That was a terrible segue. I'm so sorry. So that's the Did You Know? Every episode we do a Did You Know, where we could just kind of just talk about the lore. Just some fun facts that people have. Some other cool stuff that's happening is McFarlane Toys releasing some new models for people with Warhammer. We got some more Space Marines. You got another Space Marine that you can pick up as a McFarlane toy, and these are the really big ones, right? I think it's like this big or something.
They're
big
like
as Toby?
12, 14 inches, I think.
12 to 14 inches.
Yeah.
So you have
they're decent size.
Yeah, they're decently sized. So there's a new Space Marine one that you can grab, and then there's also Sister of Battle. You can now grab a Sister of Battle McFarlane Space Marine toy thingy.
Let's go.
Which is pretty cool. I honestly think that's cool just because, you know, now you have a little bit more representation, right? As like this big centerpiece toy that you can have, which is nice. You know, it's a nice representation.
You got a Barbie that can kill things.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
This is a battle Barbie.
That'd be metal. I would buy it, and then I would proxy it. Also, the Warhammer store and cafe opening up in LA. That opens up on Saturday. That's June 12th. Doors open at 10 a.m. And if you go there, you can get exclusive, models that they don't really have anywhere else. Or they do, but it's like really hard to find. So there's some new Age of Sigmar models, or there's some cool Age of Sigmar models that you can pick up. And then there's some cool 40K models that you can pick up as well. So that's happening. And then also there's specific dice that you can get. It's going to be this huge thing. So if you guys are in the LA area, I believe it's in Monrovia.
Yeah.
I think. Go check it out. Opens up at 10 a.m. And if you can't make it to the opening, then check it out just in general whenever you have passing time. Always nice to support your LGSs and stuff like that. And also they're selling Forge World models there.
Heck,
I'm
yes.
super excited about that.
Yeah.
Because the only other Forge World store I think is the cafe in Dallas, right?
And also online. But yeah, they're going to be selling Forge World, so that's cool. When we go there, I'm going to see if they have a Chaos Drop Pod and pick that up if they have it.
Contemptor Dreadnoughts.
Yeah, I know Debeki and I both have the same thing on our minds. Contemptor.
It's like a Black Friday where you guys are going to go there and be like, are they going to have it? Are they going to have it? You guys ready to delve into how to lose? I know that we all have ideas on how we can change our mindset for losing. So we're about to go into that right now. But first off, this show is brought to you by frontlinegaming.org, where you can get not only amazing game mats for not just your 40K games, but also any tabletop game out there. You can also purchase miniatures at a discounted price and join some of the largest 40K events in the industry. They also have the largest 40K podcasting network in the business with shows like Signals from the Frontline, Chapter Tactics, which is the one that you guys are listening to right now, 40K Game Changers, along with new shows dropping on the network very soon. It's super exciting. And you can check out all that stuff at frontlinegaming.org, or you can also click on the link in the description of this podcast on all the social media platform goodies out there, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Spotify or something, or whatever the kids listen to stuff nowadays with iTunes.
Anchor,
things like that.
I love goodies.
Yes. If you guys want more information about that, you can check out the description. Let's talk about how to lose. Let's talk about how do we lose here, guys. Like,
I can tell you how to lose.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you. I can tell you in multiple ways how to lose.
Step 1, bring Storm Surge.
Yeah. Losing isn't necessarily bad in any game. And this can be a representation of not just 40K, but like any game that you play in general. It could be a video game. It could be not even 40K. It could be Age of Sigmar or like sports. Yeah, or sports, or Star Wars Rebellion or something, right? Or X-Wing. Literally anything. There's going to be times when you're going to lose, right? So it's not about how many times you lose. It's about how you recuperate and change your mindset and be okay with those losses, because the more that you lose, you're actually learning, but it depends on whether or not you take the initiative to learn while you're losing.
Right.
Gotta make the most of your losses.
Exactly. So how do you guys do that? Like, how do you guys cope with your losses? And how about we start with Debeki?
So normally I go back and I watch a lot of our stuff. I go back and I watch VODs. I look at, I think about things that I've done. I even, like, right after the game, go back, reread some of my rules, especially ones that I didn't bring up or I got wrong. And that's normally where I can find most of my mistakes. The other thing is like forgetting stratagems, just being, most of the time my losses come from being unprepared. Yeah. Right. And it comes from lack of experience with the armies, because like I have 4 painted armies that I could go with at any time. And I think that's kind of where I messed up, because like I wanted to make sure that we were always coming out with content. Yeah. So I never got to really focus on just one. Right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure I was doing what was right for us content wise, but at the same time I sacrificed my gameplay. And I can tell, tell I'm starting to get better. Yes. Because I've come up with new ways to remember certain things, and that's what's helped a lot. Yeah. But when you're in the middle of taking a loss, or you feel like you're going to lose, sometimes it's better to reflect within and like recognize it immediately. Like what happened this past Saturday when I was playing Bricky's Custodes. Like, it was a close game, the whole game. And I felt that at some points when I was rolling very poorly, that like I was starting to get a little down, and I was starting to feel a little bit on the sad/angry side. But I knew that I couldn't let it eat at me. So kind of like tried to gather myself and like tell chat and explain to chat too, like, I'm trying, just bear with me. And And same thing to Bricky, you know, that way Bricky doesn't feel like weird.
Yeah, like you're hostile towards him.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not his fault. It's not my opponent's fault.
Yeah, and even in that game, I think that Bricky was also feeling the pressure as well. It's like the thing is that this is a competitive game. It's very competitive.
Naturally,
naturally, it's naturally competitive. Even if you're just playing for fun, if you lose, it doesn't matter. Yeah. If you can be the nicest person on earth, and you can be like, oh, I just want to play fluff stuff all the time, right? And it doesn't matter what you're trying to play or like how you're trying to play. There is a certain breaking point that you'll have where if you have a loss after loss after loss after loss, it can break your morale.
Oh yeah,
and
exactly. It will eat at you.
It will eat at you, and it's not just like it kind of gets rid of their enjoyment of the game. It gets rid of like how you feel about the game, where you're just like, I don't want to play 9th edition anymore. This is stupid. Like you know what I mean?
I took a lot of L's. Like I took a lot. But I mean, most of the time I was fine with it. I mean, I was happy with it. I think the L's that got more to me was when I brought a list that I knew I was trying to play competitively. I want it to be competitive, and I felt like I had a good chance with that list, and I just watched it melt. Like I watched the list melt. I forgot a lot of rules. Like that's when I felt the heat and the pressure the most. Was just something that I built that was like, this will win. Yeah. And it fell apart.
And then it didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work out in your favor.
That not only like that's you trying, and that's like that hurts your like ego in the sense that like you built this listing, it performed well, and it didn't perform well, and then like it's just all bad.
Because then you're like, I lost at the list building phase.
For me, I think the ones that get to me the most are the ones where like I did something really dumb or like really obvious, like maybe not getting in a specific quadrant for engage, or maybe forgetting to raise my banner or performing an action, or not screening or something, you know, like this simple stuff like that. Or like, you know, I lose track of, I guess, like the objective in mind.
Yeah, because sometimes you just want to make that charge.
Yeah,
sometimes you're just
exactly.
like, I just want to do this.
I think, just learning that, you know, you gotta just chill, just wait, be patient, strike first. No, you don't have to strike first, strike hard. Just strike when ready.
That's how Johnny Lawrence lost.
Yeah,
Karate Kid, right? That's why Miyagi-Do is number one, right?
Yeah.
Strike second, strike efficient.
Yeah. But yeah, I think just also like Becky mentioned, we do have to play a lot of different armies, a lot of different units. So forgetting rules, forgetting how to play around specific units can also be frustrating. So I've been writing up like a little study guide for myself just to try to remember and like look over before the games. And I think usually after each game, I usually like write something down, like, oh, remember to add this to the study guide. Remember to add this to the study guide. Like Demeki mentioned, he watches VODs. Some people don't have that luxury to watch their own VODs. If you do want to go over like your previous game, I know some chess players like to write down like little notes of like moments that happen. You do that for yourself. Maybe like turn 2 did this. Oops, I forgot to deploy scramblers here. Or, you know, turn 3 I did this. Thought it would kill, but horribly died. So
yeah. And like the thing is that everybody has a smartphone now. Everybody has a camera on their phone. You can easily just take pictures of your match. And use that as like a database to see where your problems were, like where you messed up. Look at this, you know, obviously take pictures that look cool, right? You know, the cool pictures.
Yeah, but I think one really important picture that you should take is deployment. Usually how you deployed, how your opponent deployed, maybe try to get like a overhead shot just to see maybe if you did feel like you lost in deployment, you could look over and be like, oh, wow, why did I leave that there?
It's all about looking at the match and kind of understanding why you lost, right? That's the biggest takeaway that you can possibly have, not just losing and then going next. Now, this is something that happens all the time with video games, right? Coming from a video game background with like League of Legends and stuff, when people play League of Legends, one of the biggest drawbacks that you can have when you're trying to rank up and you're going into a ranked game and you're playing against like random people is that you just lose, and instead of seeing why you lost and writing down notes or anything like that of why you lost and how you can improve, they just go into the next game and then they lose again. And then they go on these losing streaks where they just lose LP. And it's the same concept when it comes to 40K, right? You know, you take a loss, you don't reflect on it, you go into your next game, and then all of a sudden your ITC points are just very low, and you're not getting the wins that you want to get, right? And it's not because your army, it's not necessarily all because your army's bad. It's not necessarily because, you know, you're rolling poorly or anything like that. It's because you're not reflecting on your losses.
Yeah.
And when you reflect on your losses and you understand why you lost and analyze it, that's when you start becoming a better player in every aspect of every game that you play. It's the best way to do it.
Yeah. How many times have we played ARAM and just be like, all right, GG next?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's ARAM. That's different.
I mean, but still, like as we mentioned before, it's nice to win every once in a while. You know, it is a fun mode.
Yeah. I think too is like one of the common things that people like to do is blame luck, right? So they'll blame the dice,
which is natural because a lot of people say that the game is luck based, and there is luck based, and there is a luck base to it.
Yeah, but it is about putting yourself into a situation to where you don't have to rely so heavily on the luck.
Yes,
and where I was getting at with that too, with video games, is a lot of people like to blame their teammates when they don't want to self-reflect.
Yes,
and me blaming the dice is also like trying to dodge that self-reflection.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Is it really because you rolled poorly, or is it because you positioned yourself in a bad spot where now you're basically screwed, right? There's been a lot of times where that's happened to me, even where it's like, I'll try to fight a unit that I shouldn't be fighting at all. And then I just lose, and I'm just like, dude, it's the dice, but it's not the dice. It's me making a poor decision.
Yeah. Just gotta learn to self-reflect. Just be ready to self-criticize yourself,
Yeah.
Don't be so scared of
criticizing yourself.
Yeah, otherwise you won't get better.
Yeah. And that's really hard to do, and there's a lot of different ways that you can blame other things. You could blame your dice, you could blame the terrain, you can blame
the weather.
You can blame, but
splitting shots, don't split your shots.
Yeah. There's lots of different ways that you can lose, and there's a lot of different ways that there's a lot of different things that you can blame as to your loss. But when you strip away the idea that, when you take away these ideas where it's the dice, where you take away the idea that it's just the terrain, and you look at yourself, you'll find a lot of ways that you've lost. What did you lose during deployment? Did you lose during your movement phase? This is a movement-based game, and when you don't take into account, pre-measuring, making sure that you're going into the right areas, you have a good aura of influence on the board, you're taking board control, you understand what your army list is, what you're supposed to do. There's all these different ways that you can break down how you kind of lost a game without blaming other aspects to it. Because, when you go and play a game of 40K, it's the same thing like StarCraft, right? You have no one else to blame except for basically yourself. And even with video games where there's luck, where it's luck, when people say that 40K is luck based, quote unquote, or whatever, and to an extent it's true. When you look at video games, another good example is League of Legends. There is luck inside of it because of things like crit chance.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. That you don't see it though. You don't see those numbers.
Yeah. You just know that there's a statistical chance that it's going to happen.
That exactly. There's a statistical chance that you are going to crit. And so when, but because it's not in your face, you don't really look at it as a reason as to why you lost.
Right.
Right. Even though it could be a reason why you lost, but you just didn't look at it. And, you kind of just look at the way that you played that game instead.
Yep.
The stuff that you can control. And I think that's the biggest thing is to understand the stuff that you can control to make yourself a better player.
I think the other thing is too, is kind of watching what your opponent does. Cause watching you and Bricky and even John P, y'all do a lot of pre-measuring. I occasionally do pre-measuring. And during our league match, I did a lot of pre-measuring.
Oh yeah.
Because I was trying to make sure that certain things I didn't want to happen.
Pre-measuring is amazing.
Yeah. And pre-measuring is definitely one of those things, but paying attention to what your opponent does and kind of their mannerisms and what they might do can probably help you learn how to play your army more efficiently and more effectively.
Yeah. Yeah. If you are going up against somebody and then they're you shoot at something, you're just like, and then your opponent's just like, and they're really like hurting about it. It's just like, that's the unit that I need to kill. That apparently.
Or if they try to gaslight you out of it.
Yeah. It's like
you kill that thing.
Yeah, you kill it. Well, if they successfully gaslight you, then how would you know?
You think it's like maybe you think about afterwards in the shower.
Yeah,
as you cry about your loss. You're like, hey, oh, he totally gaslit me there. Wow.
This just in, gaslighting. That's the way that you win.
That's how you win, gaslighting.
Just gaslighting your opponent. These gaunts, oh, they're a menace. You need to kill them
you need to
dead.
get rid of them now.
So what about just like the aspect of losing? How do you guys deal with just losing in general?
But I think directly after loss, one of the best things to do is probably just ask your opponent how the game was. What they did to beat you, what they think you could have done better, or like what they were worried about all game, and how they thought the game was gonna go, but maybe it didn't go that way.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, like, can you imagine going up and playing against somebody, and then when you ask them, hey, what did you think about the game? How do you think I can how do you think I can get better? And they're just like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, can you imagine meeting someone like that? Like, and, if you ever meet someone like that, just don't play with them anymore.
yeah, you're like, oh, okay, man, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, I guess.
I think my favorite thing though, learning like re-watching like how to learn to lose again is having a child. Because my daughter
hey guys, don't just randomly have a child to get better at 40K.
Don't. But I'm using my child as an example. So she's super competitive. And when she loses, she throws a temper tantrum. And we've seen grown men throw temper tantrums over a loss.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting to like watch your child like have a temper tantrum, and then you're just like, but it's just a game. Like it's just a game. And then when you play the game and you're like, I think I'm about to have a temper tantrum, but then I'm like, yes, inner peace, please.
Don't
do
be
it. Don't be a child. Don't be a child
about this.
But yeah, I think like looking back, it kind of reminded me, like I remember playing Sega, right? And playing like Sonic the Hedgehog or any of those games, and like losing to something stupid, like falling in a pit or something.
Yeah.
And then taking the controller and just like slapping it against the ground or my thigh.
Yeah.
Like just being super upset about it. And how I've grown now, where like if I'm doing poorly, I'm just like, I compartmentalize, I get quiet, and I'm just like, okay,
how do I get out of this?
How do I get out of this?
and then you pick up the monitor and you start slapping it on your knee. Mortarian, better. Why aren't you performing? Yeah, no. And when it comes to people getting upset, and the thing is that it's okay to be upset that you're losing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't like externalize it where you're showing people that that you're upset, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's naturally okay for you to lose and be upset that you're losing in a competitive game, especially in a competitive scene, right? If you go to a tournament and you're losing, obviously you're going to get upset because you went to a tournament and you are expecting to do your best at a tournament, and then when you lose very hard, it's understandable that you get upset. But you just have to be able to curb the idea that you're losing, right? Yeah. And like, I fall for that a lot. It's hard for me to look at a match, even when I'm losing, when I want to go in and try to win. And it's hard for even the best players in the world to not be upset. You look at people like Double Lift or like Bjergsen or something, right? When, they have so much on the line and they're trying to win their, these games and they lose, it's very easy to say, oh, it's just a loss, just take it on the chin. It's very easy to say that. But when you're in the moment and you have these stakes like rising for you, it's hard to be able to like understand that you need to keep your cool, right?
Yeah, it's like, especially for them, like, they trained all season, practiced all season for that, and they just blew it.
And then they blew it, and they scuffed it up.
But I'm wondering too, when it gets to that level, is if the ego comes into play, right? Because then you're like, well, I feel like I'm better than this person. And then that's why they get even more upset. Like, I'm better than this person. I should be winning. Like, and then they get even more upset.
Yeah. I mean, for some people that drives them, like losing like fires a flame under them, you know?
Like Michael Jordan.
Yeah, yeah, like Michael Jordan, exactly. As this saying goes, F them kids.
So how much do you guys think about the match when you lose? Like, how much do you guys think about it before you move on to the next one?
I think about it a lot.
Yeah, I think about it a lot too. I've been thinking about my recent loss a lot.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that because you're on a losing streak right now, right?
Yeah, so I think most recent match I had was Sunday, which was 3 days ago, and I've been thinking about what I could have done differently, what tweaks I might make to my list, or just some small things that I probably should have done that I focused on, how I should have played the map, stuff like that. It's like something that is in my mind until I play the next game, and then after that game where I just played is in my head because I'm gonna lose again. But yeah, I mean, usually the last game I have is in my mind until I play the next game. After that, it kind of just filters out unless the loss was a significant loss, where I was like, wow, I did something really dumb. Why did I do that?
It's just a blowout.
Yeah, it was I was like, wow, I showed up, I got ready to paint all these models, and I just got 100 zeros. What the heck?
No, I feel it. And like another thing that's very hard to do when you're losing a lot is constantly changing your list all the time.
Yeah.
Right? That's a huge trap. When you bring a list to a game, or when you bring a list to a match or an army to a match, right? And you're trying to figure out how to play it efficiently, and you do all this homework and you just don't play it well. And then you go home, you're just like, well, that list sucks. I'm going to make a new one.
Exactly.
That completely defeats the purpose, right?
Yeah.
You should, whenever you're making a list that you think would be a winning list, you don't just play it once and then toss it off to the side and then make a new one from scratch. What you do is you play it over and over again. You play it like 2 or 3 times. And then after that, then you can make a logical decision of whether or not you should make changes to the list. Maybe you just played it poorly. And then that's another way that you can reflect. It's just, you know, deciding whether or not you messed up in list building or not, right?
Yeah, it's one of the things too is like I like to do is go on forums and like post my list and see what people think about it. And like you fall into the trap of people giving you like, oh, you should add this, and then like, you know, you never actually get to learn the list that you thought was good.
Yeah, exactly.
People start to recommend things, and
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like after Kenny came and he played his Death Guard, like I started talking to Kenny even more about Death Guard, and like me and him have just been talking along with Wyatt nonstop about Death Guard when it comes to like list building, things to do, things to remember. Like when he brought that sheet of paper, and I don't if y'all are listening, maybe you can watch the VOD or not, or it might be on the YouTube channel by now. I think it is, right? But like there's a piece of paper that Kenny brought, and it had the stratagems and then like key relics that he put on his units and key abilities that he needed to remember. And I started doing that too, because I was like, this is awesome. Now everything's on one piece of paper.
I see the way that you play sometimes when you print out all of your stuff from ButtScribe.
Yeah.
And then like when a unit dies, you're just like, well, I don't need that piece of paper anymore. And you just toss it on the floor.
on the ground.
Yep. I mean, that helps too. Like I print out the ButtScribe stuff because like I haven't gotten to the point where I remember all those stats off the top of my head for certain units.
Yeah.
But like being able to remember the abilities like Stench Vats and Entropy, the Entropy Reaper,
Stench Vats.
and the other Foul Blight Spawn ability that says you fight last, like just having those on one sheet of paper along with the stratagems and my army list was a huge help.
Yeah.
Like just that alone was a better help than just having every individual like unit data sheet in my hand.
Another cool thing that you guys can do is, especially if you are part of like your faction's Discord, is to usually in those Discords there is a battle report text channel.
Yep.
Where you can go in there and you can it's almost like yelling into the void, where you just like talk about like your match and stuff. But it's also a great way to kind of reevaluate how the match went. And you can have other people that are part of the faction just come in and be like, yeah, you suck. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, dude, how could you lose that game?
Yeah.
It was handed to you.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, stuff like that where you can have somebody to talk about with you, like what you're doing with Kenny right now, right?
Yeah.
Is being able to deconstruct how you lost a match and what you need to do in your next match in order to make yourself a better player, right? Has that been helping out?
Oh yeah, a lot. Like, especially during the list building phase, like or just list building in general. Like we talked about why certain units are in the list, and what we expect to get out of those, especially when it comes to secondaries, and also how the rest of the list is supposed to perform. Like with a Playbros crawler heavy list, and you don't have OBSEC, right? People will look at you and be like, you didn't bring OBSEC, are you crazy? But then you know that, well, I'm planning on, I'm planning on making sure I don't need OBSEC.
Yeah.
I'm going to control these objectives, and this is how. And I mean, it helped a lot. I mean, finding someone that plays your army, has been playing for a while, and it helps. It really helps to put some more perspective into the game. And help you play better as a player.
Yeah. What about you, Jumpy?
That was very profound. Hold on. I was gonna say, I think after the game too, it's important to just keep asking why and try to find like the root cause of why you did something.
Why am I alive?
Yeah, just keep asking, and then once you'll find the root, and you'll be like, wow, and then you'll have the answer.
Good job.
I had something in my head, and then Becky was talking. I was like, "Whoa!" I totally lost everything. I should have wrote it down.
Yeah, dude. Well, you messed it up, so now you can write it down. Now you can write it down.
Now I'm gonna go home and just ask why. Why did I say that? Why didn't I just pass it over to Matt?
Another thing that can be pretty difficult is not only just learning how to play your army, but also learning how to play your opponent's army. That's a huge hurdle. Like, yeah, you can put yourself in a vacuum and be like, yes, okay, if I do this and this with this army, then I get these points. But then you go up against something like Drukhari, and then you're just like, all of my ideas are just out the window. You know?
Yeah.
And what you have to also understand is that when you go into this game, it's not just what you brought to the table; it's also what your opponent brought to the table. So if you obviously don't get salty and just be like, he won because he's playing Drukhari.
Yeah,
screw him. I played perfectly. You know, people like Nick Nadavati and Richard Siegler can say those things, but to the average person, you can't really say that where you're just saying that you played perfectly, right? And when you're going up against an army that you don't know how they play,
right,
then you're kind of being thrown into the lion's den, right? And then even with that, when you don't understand how their army works, you can't just say that they won because they're playing that army. Then you have to understand, okay, so I need to be prepared to fight against that army next time. And then you take notes of, this is what Drukhari does. This is what I need to build for against Drukhari. I need to make my list more well-rounded so then it can fight against things like Drukhari, things like elites, and all these other different aspects that you have to go up against when you're going into a GT or when you're going to a league or like an event. You need to be able to understand these different ways that you have to be able to flex your army and play it in different scenarios. And that's another aspect that you have to kind of learn when you lose a game is just, did you lose because you played poorly? Did you lose because you didn't know the matchup? There's so many different ways, right?
Yeah. Many variables.
I feel like joining a league too is probably one of the best ways to get better at the game, because like you get into a pod, you know exactly what's in the pod, you know what you're going to be going up against. You got plenty of time to sit there and do the research on your opponent's armies.
Yes.
And understand how they work.
Yeah.
Like when me and you played this Sunday, I was like, Swarmlord has an 18-inch -1 to psychic abilities.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to stay out of 18 inches.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to pre-measure.
Yep.
Yep. All things like that.
Nah, you lost because of dice.
After all that.
So it was a close match. Don't be fooled.
Now, there's all these different ways that you can learn how to lose more properly.
Yeah.
But how do you retain that amount of information? You know, every time that you play a game, you're retaining more and more information off of not just this match, but your last match, and then the match coming up. And, you know, you have all this, how your opponent played and things like that. How do you guys retain the information of your losses and what, you know, going forward for your next matches?
You kind of just have to just keep putting the reps in, honestly.
Yeah.
like you're gonna play a game, you did the thing that you promised you would do from last game, but you might have forgotten to do the thing that you forgot to do from like 2 or 3 games ago.
Yeah.
And like stuff like that. It's just like perfect practice makes perfect. So you just gotta keep getting the reps in.
I think, and since I've tried this new method, I think like one of the rules that I forgot was for inexorable advance with Death Guard during our match was that my vehicles don't lose ballistic skill while in engagement.
Yeah.
So I forgot that during our match, and I was rolling the -1 to hit. So because I have forgotten that, I'm going to add that to my sheet. So next time when I'm playing, I can remember, all right, I don't lose ballistic skill while I'm in engagement range, while I'm in combat, and I'm firing my weapons.
Yeah.
Especially even with heavy.
Fine tuning that database.
Yes.
Yeah.
Database being your mind.
Yes.
Being
Well, when you get older, it's even harder to remember stuff. So like having that sheet of paper is really nice.
No, it's all in my head. I'm just a computer, dude. I
Yeah.
just remember everything.
Yeah.
It's all up here, dude. I don't even need my book. I don't even. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, at that point, you're just making up rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I get 10 attacks on this.
Yeah. I mean, and also having, I'm not going to lie, a lot of people trash it a lot, but because I still pay for the subscription, I'm still using it. The Warhammer app comes in pretty clutch when you're able to have your phone during a match. Most of the time, I don't have mine.
Yeah.
Even using things like Battlescribe helps out too.
Yeah.
You got your paper, you got your book, you got your phone,
Yep.
you got your brain.
Now, this is all cool. This is all cool. How do y'all deal with having a losing streak?
Oh, how do you deal with it?
Like, I was looking at some of the people that are talking to us in chat during this live stream, and some people are saying that they've gone like 11 and 100 with 11 wins, and then the rest have been losses. How do you deal with that?
I mean, that win is just that much sweeter. I'm not gonna lie. That's one of the things.
Yeah.
When you're on a losing streak and you get that win and you get that dopamine right at the head, like you're on cloud 9, you're super happy. It really does make it that much sweeter. Being on a losing streak and getting that win makes it that much sweeter.
Yeah.
Does it? It still sucks.
Yes.
That you're on this huge losing streak all the time, but like the win does help. But when you're on the losing streak for so long, I mean, that's when I start to dive more back into the book. Like I try to focus more on the book, or I find a different model that I normally don't run, and I paint that up, and then I give that a shot. Like always trying to figure something out.
If you're on a huge losing streak.
Yeah, if you're on a huge losing streak.
What about you, John P?
You just gotta ask why. Okay, yeah, I mean, like the Mackie mentioned, you kind of just start to evaluate just each and every little thing. Maybe there's a model that you think is going to do something that isn't doing something, and you've played it like 3 or 4 times, and you just gotta just
Stomped.
just throw it out. Maybe replace it with something new. Look at models, like the Mackie mentioned. Look at models you probably wouldn't think of. Maybe something specifically to do an action. I think Demeki's starting to bring Vespit now for Tau in order for engage and scramblers and stuff like that. You just gotta start considering things that you weren't thinking about before. Gotta just open your mind.
Another thing that you can do when you're going on a losing streak, just take a break.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just take a break. Don't play 40K for like 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then come back and lose again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like if you're going on this huge losing streak, at that point, there might be a problem not in your army, but unless you're Tau, but there might not be a problem in your army, but there might be a problem in the way that you're playing.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not pre-measuring. Maybe there's new things that you have to do, and you're just stuck in the motion of just throwing models on the board, throwing units on the board. And, like this is harking back to what I said earlier, is that you can be the happiest person in the world, but if you're constantly losing all the time and it's just on a hot streak of just loss after loss, it doesn't matter how happy you are, you're probably going to get upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you are upset and it starts grinding on your mentality, you need to be able to step back and be like, why am I playing this hobby? And reevaluate what's bringing you enjoyment, right? And then come back to it with a new fresh lens of how you want to play it to bring yourself joy. And then that will help you start getting some wins, right? Like if you are constantly sad about losing all the time and that breaks down your mentality, then you're not going to play optimally. You're going to make mistakes every single time.
Yeah.
It happens all the time when people are on losing streaks in video games.
You go on tilt.
Right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You go on tilt.
Especially with Warhammer too. Like you're lucky to get like a game a week.
Yeah.
If you're on a like a fat losing streak of say like 10, that's like 2 months of just like not playing how you should be playing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just take that little break. Like Matt
just take a break.
mentioned.
Yeah, just
take a step back, evaluate.
Yeah, take 2 weeks off, paint up some new models, come back. Now it's like you're a new player.
Yeah. It's like you went into the hyperbolic time chamber.
Yeah. Look up some videos. Learn how to pre-measuring is probably the best thing that you could possibly do in order to make your gameplay better. And when you go into a game and you're not pre-measuring, you're kind of already losing at that point because you're not taking into account what your opponent is able to do. You're just focused on what your army can do. And when you only focus on what your army can do, that's only half the game.
Yeah. Oh, listening to your opponent at the beginning, explaining their army.
That's hard. It's so
hard.
Yeah,
it's hard, but it's just as important as pre-measuring.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I think what I do nowadays is I always just ask like, what does this do? Which one has the relic again? Do you have fight last?
Yeah.
Can this heroically intervene? You know, you just don't be afraid to ask your opponent like, what's up? They should be. If you're playing someone that's like nice, I mean, they don't have to be nice, but if you're playing someone that's not
someone that's respectable,
that
respects your time.
Yeah, they'll give you the information that you need.
Because like the thing that the reason I brought that up is the thing that scares me the most is in our pod I have to play against Grey Knights and I've never played against Grey Knights.
Dude, me
so like so now I'm like reading, I'm like, what do they do? I know they have smite. I know they have a lot of smite. Like what do I do? How do I beat Grey Knights?
Dude, best way to beat Grey Knights, take aboard the witch. Boom.
Yep.
Half your job's done now.
I already know what secondary I'm taking for that match.
Yeah, you just take aboard the witch and you're good. You're fine. And then just watch out for their -1 to wound and fight on death and all this other stuff that they have. Transhuman. Woo! Woo! This is coming from a Dark Angels player getting upset about transhuman.
Yeah, but I mean, look at I run nothing but firstborn because I don't have anything painted that's Primaris.
All right, guys. I think that we've beat this horse into the ground. Do you guys have anything else that you guys want to add on to this topic of losing with grace?
Oh yeah, thank God this game's not like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 where you can just automatically go back into the next game.
Oh, dude, that would be terrible.
No. Yeah, I feel like if I were to have played this game in college and had TTS, I would probably just sit there and in my like apartment play like 3 or 4 games of like Warhammer on TTS. That's like my whole day. So I am glad that's not the case.
Yeah, but it's kind of lucky that that games in Warhammer last for so long and there's so much time in between because it's a nice way to dissect yourself and figure out what went wrong, how you messed up, and all that stuff. You know, you have a good leeway of time. It just depends on how you use that time.
Yeah, dude, it's like playing NFL football. You know, you got a week to prepare.
Yeah, it's like playing basketball. Yeah. You have a week to prepare, I think. Is that how basketball works?
Nope, absolutely not.
Or
right.
or baseballs where you get the grand field goals.
Yeah, and then you shoot the Pokemon. Anyways, that is it for this episode of Chapter Tactics, episode number 205. Thank you guys for joining us today. I know that we talked for a little bit, for a pretty long time talking about losing, and you know, when you are trying to get better, sometimes you just gotta take those losses and you gotta eat them. You just gotta eat it. Just take it straight to the face.
And for breakfast.
Yep. It's
I'm
okay.
gonna take this L.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to fail upwards. That's the goal. All right. If you guys like this podcast, make sure that you follow the Frontline Gaming Network, and also if you want to support Chapter Tactics as a whole. And the Frontline Gaming Network as a whole, you could check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ I believe it's Frontline Gaming. I might have to re-edit this in later on, but you can check out the Patreon to support all the shows on the Frontline Gaming Network. And then if you want to specifically help out Chapter Tactics, you can go to patreon.com/ Chapter Tactics. Yes, that is it. Thank you guys for joining us on this podcast. We appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. One more thing. I need to add in one more thing.
Yeah.
If if you guys want to check out Chapter Tactics live, you can go to twitch.tv/DiceCheck, where we stream Chapter Tactics every single Tuesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.